Pray for me.
It looks like it's going.
I'm going to go in the group, check in on everyone, smile. It's Fierce Female Friday. And we are live. Welcome, welcome. We are here for our Friday, 2 o'clock with all of you. Thank you for joining us. And we have a special guest with us today, Jennifer Branchini, our treasurer. And I'll get into a full bio in a second, but we want to hear from our chief economist, Leslie Appleton-Young, and give a brief market update. What's happening in the market today or this week?
Thank you, Sarah. And I'm so excited to have Jen on the program today. It's really an honor and terrific to see someone that we work with so closely be able to share what she's been going through, because I know it hasn't been what we all expected. 2020 has been full of surprises. So in terms of what's happened in the economy in the last week, just in terms of nationally, yesterday we got our latest weekly number for initial unemployment claims. The good news is it was the smallest number that we have seen since the middle of March. It was 2.4 million. But to put it in perspective, that brings the total for the 9-week period to 38.6 million. And by way of comparison, in the Great Recession, it took us 2 years to get a number that large, to get that many people looking for unemployment help. So this has really been a very, very fast change in the economy. The other thing we saw is that the delinquency rates are rising very sharply. We had an increase from 3.39% of the mortgages in the country delinquent in March to 6.45%. So that's the biggest increase we've ever recorded. About 30.6 million homeowners are now past due, and 8.8% of U.S. mortgages are in forbearance. And remember, the CARES Act provided that option to homeowners with government insured or guaranteed loans. So people are taking advantage of that, and hopefully when that period ends, they'll be back at work and can continue on. And then we had Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and Fed Chairman Powell reporting to Congress this past week on the CARES Act. And my takeaway from reading the reports on that was there's still a lot of money left to be put into the economy, and that there are two very different schools of thought. The Treasury Secretary saying, let's wait and see how this works. And Powell saying, we don't have a lot of time to prevent permanent damage, so let's get going. So that's kind of the broad view. It's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better, but we're seeing a slowing in the decline, if you will. With respect to the California housing market, the April stats came out on Monday. We had a 31% year-over-year drop in sales, a 25% month-over-month decline. We're expecting a larger decline in the May numbers, less in June, and what I'm calling, let's all look forward to the summer home buying season, because there will be pent-up demand and pent-up supply and a continuation of a very attractive rate environment. So stay tuned and look forward to seeing you all next week with another update. And now on for the main part of our program.
Wonderful. So we have a lot of people watching this Friday. Some people were on our broker call. Hi, Sandra. Nice to see you again. We have Kama, Paula, Connie, Lisa. Hello, everyone. I am very excited to introduce our next guest, our today's guest. And Jen has been a realtor. We used to think she was a YPNer, but she's been in the business since 1998. She spent 4 years as a general manager for her family's brokerage. And can we just say that was a really great time to sell last year? Good job, Jen. She currently serves as our treasurer for the California Association of Realtors. It has been a joy to work with her and to see how she leads our strategic planning and budget efforts at CAR. She's married. Cam is her husband, and they just celebrated 21 years of marriage. That's amazing. She's got 3 kids, Kate, Brooke, and Grant, who are all at home with her today, and ask her about her Peloton rides. So Jen, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Jen, it's wonderful to see you. And I want to start out by just asking you, how are you doing? You know, we all remember, you know, January, and we kicked off with the strategic planning committee meeting, and we all gathered together in Anaheim, and it was just a wonderful set of meetings. And then a month and a half later, boom. So can you guys give us a feel for what that's been like from your vantage point?
Well, I will say that yesterday I used the word fun, and I don't know if that's exactly the right word, but maybe in my world of looking at opportunities and ways to do things differently. And this has been one of those times where it wasn't me forcing someone to do something different. It was the world changed in a moment. And we were all sort of presented with this opportunity of figuring out how to navigate the work that we need to do, and certainly the outreach and care for our members. And so I would say personally, you know, the challenges are, I quite honestly, like, I'm sick and tired of cleaning my kitchen 7 times a day. Every time the kids eat, I clean up, and then I go back and they have made a mess again. And they do their version of cleaning, which is not my version of cleaning. So that part's fun. And then also being the principal, trying to keep my son on task with his schoolwork is never easy. So it definitely goes by days. There's good days, there's hard days, there's emotional days. I think just what everyone else is feeling too. But overall, you know, I think that it has been an amazing experience seeing how everyone can come together and do the work, and it's good work. And I think that's the fun part. So
I love it. I have a life hack for you. I stole it from Melinda Gates in her book, The Power of Lift or something. I read it. She's like, no one leaves the kitchen till mom leaves the kitchen. And I've implemented that in our house. And sometimes I leave it sooner, and my daughter's like, Mom, no one leaves the kitchen. It's okay. It happens, Jen. No one leaves the kitchen, including you. And I'm like, you know what? I'm mom. But yeah, so that has really, like, we got the kids to start cleaning, washing dishes. I'm going to get them to start doing laundry, because I am right there with you. I'm so tired of doing all the cooking and all the cleaning by myself.
yes. Well, a lot of you know, oh, I think you're muted, Leslie.
Muted, Leslie.
A lot of you know,
Just saying, everybody's got a full-time job too. It's not like anything else has been lifted. In fact, Jen, this is a year where my guess is you are on more meetings and showing up for more people and taking more phone calls. We've surveyed our members about their attitudes towards this virus, and I will tell you, they're split. You know, there's a huge divergence or diversity in our membership about people that aren't going to go out till there's a vaccine, to people that think it's a hoax, and everything in between. So I'm just wondering what that's been like for you and how you lead through that.
Well, I mean, again, the opportunity for us to connect with more people this way, as much as I hear from all of my extroverted realtor friends that they need to touch and feel and see and engage with people face to face, it has really been amazing how many people we've been able to connect with and engage with. And I think that it is even more clear how diverse our industry and our profession is. and figuring out how to communicate with them effectively. And I think in the beginning of all of this, one of the things that came to mind was we cannot over communicate right now, because people are listening at different mediums. And that is really, truly, it doesn't matter if they hear it 5 times, because I know from living through in the business in 2007 and 8 and 9, it felt like it was 5 years, by the way, those years. So I mixed them all together. But knowing that, trying to figure out how to get answers, or how to find the right people that can guide you through or listen to. If it's not right in front of you, it's really hard in a moment of when you're struggling or overwhelmed or anything, to find out how to do that. And so that piece of over communicating, I think, is the way that we can try and get in front of those folks. And I know that has been a huge priority with CAR. And I think we've been doing a good job of that. And then, just trying to get it out, get the messaging out.
Jessica saying yay to a fellow introvert. We have introverts on the group. Yay. So you talked a little bit about like some of the opportunities, right? Like over communication. What does that look like for you? Like what is ideal in this time of crisis? What would you like to do? What have you been doing? And share a little bit with the community on I think giving them a little bit of example.
Well, I mean, I think there's different ways, right? We always say like, oh my gosh, we get so many emails every day. It's too much. We need to cut back on it. Well, obviously we know that email isn't just the only means of communication, right? So it is, in my daily world, it's texting, it's phone calls, it's Zoom meetings, it's social media, it's emails, the information. I mean, with this crisis, at least we know in our industry and profession, we're getting guidance, and our members may not be reading their emails. So we have to make sure that we're communicating with them in different ways. And so trying to share any information that we have in any form. And I've found that social media has been quite helpful, where, I don't care if it only touches 5 people. It's 5 more people that maybe didn't see it in their email. And so, and if that helps those 5 people, maybe they're going to help 5 more people. So that's how it gets out. So.
And I've never seen a CAR officer be on social media as much as I've seen you in the last, several months. You're just out there. And what I'm hearing is that you're meeting people where they are.
Right. Well, and I think this social media has certainly been a common ground for many people looking for answers right now, and looking for support and community and friendships and guidance. And so I think it's really important. And, trying to be real too, because my life is certainly not perfect. I'm going through similar things of trying to figure out my business and all of that, just like everyone else. So I go there also to be inspired by other people.
Jen, one of the things we've talked about is the opportunities that this, don't waste a crisis, and the opportunities that are revealing themselves. How do you see that situation, and what are some of the changes you'd like to see come out of this experience for the industry, for realtors?
Well, I think that, I mentioned this on some call I was on recently, with it was our forum, but looking at these warning bells that we've been given over the years with regards to, our profession, and saying, okay, well, here's the time where we have that great opportunity to define what changes our consumer wants, but even before they want it. And I think right now we are redesigning how we conduct our business. And again, that sort of forced change has been amazing because it gives us the chance to redefine ourselves. And I think as realtors, that's one of the great things that we do, is we're able to redefine ourselves in moments that we need to survive. And this is that time. And so the virtual showings and virtual open houses. And I would love to see, I've heard loud and clear, people don't want to let go of their open houses because, again, that in-person meeting is so important. But I look at the opportunity of being able to do virtual open houses multiple times during the week at different times and connecting with people in a whole different way. And so we keep talking video. And I think there's no more talk about that. I think it's just going to be the norm moving forward with that combination. And certainly at, our association level, looking at the opportunity of how do we engage more with our members. And we've been doing that these last 7, 8, 9
Well,
weeks.
Bay East is having weekly meetings, correct?
Yes. So
for all the members, yeah.
So Bay East does a town hall meeting. I think their next one is in June, but they get somewhere between 400 and 450 members engaged on those town halls, which I think when I was president in 2014, we did a tech member day, and we had all of these things going on the entire day and fed them a very nice lunch. And I want to say that maybe we had 350 folks attend that. So the fact that 400 to 450 are coming on a weekly basis is amazing. And certainly at CAR we see those kinds of numbers as well, with folks that wouldn't otherwise normally be engaged.
Right. So we've talked a little bit about the opportunities, but there's also challenges to those, right? How do we get out of our own way? And what do you see are the challenges to getting to that next level?
Well, it's getting out of our own way.
Did I just answer you?
Yeah, right? It's sometimes making sure that we're listening. And I think it's not just us as leaders listening, it's every one of our members is listening and not coming in with their own agenda, because none of us like change. We all like to keep things the way they're going, even though it's what we facilitate every single day for our clients. Being able to listen and look at what is in front of you, to understand that it's okay to adjust and shift. It's not the end of the world. And I think that is the biggest thing of saying, what's one way to maybe take a class, right? Whenever I go through these periods of time, like I look to learning, and, we get so busy in our daily lives that we stop, doing continuing education, except when we have to, or we're forced to, because our license is about to expire. Take a class and just open your mind to something different. And I think that's where creativity comes in, and you're like, oh yeah, we can do something different. So I'm not sure if I answer your question exactly, but
I really love that, and we've seen that in the statistics, because we, CAR offers the 45 free hours, and then we've had 3 additional classes, and the response has just been overwhelming. It's really been heartening to see people using maybe a little bit of extra spare time to open themselves out. I think that's one of the things we all sense about you, right? Is this openness to different things. I'm just wondering how you handle, we talk about crucial conversations. I know that you have those on a daily basis with members who are contacting you. Do you have any advice for tips for how you do that, how you listen, but also kind of explain the position that's been taken? And it's never easy.
No, I'm hesitating because sometimes I might be a little bit more blunt than maybe I should be. because I take this approach of, this is the way it is. And maybe it
Sounds
was
like a breath of fresh air though, Jen.
it might be the way that I was raised. My dad always said, like, you're not hurt, get up and keep going. And so unless I was really dying, I mean, I remember one time I tore my meniscus and he left me at the top of a mountain in Utah for 5 hours because he didn't believe that I was actually hurt. And so I had to wait till it closed for them to take me down in the toboggan. And then when he finally saw the x-ray and realized I was hurt, then I got some sympathy. So having that as your, guiding principles growing up, it leads to maybe a little bit of less fluff when it comes to, but I do think there's a fine line, right? So it's listening, hearing what the person is saying, and then offering the guidance or some suggestions, and then identifying, because I don't think that any one of us has gone through something alone. Like, typically if someone that I'm talking to is going through something, I've likely had that emotion or experience. And for me, I always, I relate to something that, how I've handled something to try and offer guidance. So, I mean, it's certainly not easy, but,
No.
That's tough love.
Do it the best way you can. Yeah, tough love. That's a good one. I'm going to tell, oh yeah.
It sounds like that was your dad for sure.
Yep. So when you talk to those members or even your clients, what is something that keeps coming up? What words of advice do you keep sharing over and over during this time?
Well, it's more of just hang in there, right? It's and then giving them the hope that there is help out there. When people have reached out to me and are in this sort of desperation situation, and typically, I think right now we've been here long enough that financially a lot of folks are feeling it, and offering them the guidance and being able to answer. Like, I can't just say I don't know. Like, I'm going to figure out the answer and give them as much guidance as I can, because that's what I'm here for. And it's just who I am. I don't think I would ever turn my shoulder on anyone. Like, I'm going to figure out how to get the help. I may not give you every step, but at least guide you in the right direction. So, and I think that the biggest thing is that, as much as people hate the buzzwords right now, there's so many of them, right? The same boat, we're in this together, light at the end of the tunnel, like all of those things. We are all going through a similar experience, but we all have different emotions and little roadblocks along the way. And so, knowing that there are other people that are there ready to listen and talk to you is all we can do for one another right now.
Jen, I have a question about CAR. You're the head of the chair of the Strategic Planning and Finance Committee, and there's a lot of reading and research and brainstorming that goes on into what the future holds. What do you think CAR will look like in a few years? How will this experience have changed us in the industry? And I know that's, something we could talk about all weekend, but maybe just a few things that have occurred to you in this process.
Well, I think certainly learning, I would say first and foremost knowing the staff can work from home, right? So, and then seeing CAR do this, and every other company out there that can't work in the office, and realizing what that's going to look like. So for planning purposes for CAR, saying, okay, what does workspace look like moving forward? What do meetings look like for us moving forward? The opportunities for us to meet more often now, to identify very, very like issues that we have, and we're able to act more quickly now, because we don't have to mobilize our 850 board of directors members to get them into one place, that we can jump on a call and have a discussion of a significant issue. I think we all know it can be done now. And so the opportunity there is incredible. And I think it's just streamlining and kind of redefining because of that, what everything else looks like moving forward.
Speaking of CAR, I do want to give a shout out to all the people who love you. Sandy Bowman says, we're grateful you don't overfluff. Sharon Bowler, excellent, excellent. Thank you, Jen. Amen, Jen. Jennifer, you, Jeannie, and Dave and our staff have done such a phenomenal job through this time. That's Cindy Diaz Telly, and Carol Farrar, Patrick Wallace, all saying these are those of us who adapt will thrive in the cycle. Carol, absolutely. And Patrick Wallace, current CAR leadership is awesome. I couldn't agree more. And so if you have questions for Jen, just put them in the comments. I will ask them, and you have time to ask them. But Jen, what about leaders who are struggling, stressed, not able to deal? What would your advice be for them? Because I will tell you, watching you and knowing you behind the scenes, knowing what's happening with your family or whatever on a particular day, you don't show it, right? Like, you could be struggling, but your face and how you interact with members has been just so inspiring to watch. I posted that on my Facebook post because it truly has been. You've been wonderful. You've been open. We text on a constant basis. But what advice would you give to others? Because I'm getting emotional right now because it's one of those days. But I do feel like you have a lot to give and a lot to share. So we're listening.
Well, I think I will say the first couple of weeks going into this, I had a lot of emotional days. Now I'm going to get emotional.
It was tough, I will say. I had 0 emotional days until, like, I think it was this month.
You know, I will say a day does not go by that I don't go through a period where I think I'm going to just cry for a while. And it's just this overwhelming emotion with, you know, anxiety and fear and concern and missing my family and just all of that. And I think that's just common to everyone in the country, you know, just what it's just so big, you know, it's just such a change.
But I would say those early days of not sleeping and having that extreme high anxiety and not really understanding what was going on. I remember one day, and I posted about this, is, you know, I woke up and I thought, you know what, I need to do this day like I would do any other regular day. And then I wrote up a plan. And it was like a really stupid little simple plan, but it was like 2 or 3 things, because, I mean, for those of you who know me, I don't sit still very long. I like to do 100 things at once. And so this, you know, 150 miles an hour to 0, and then trying to figure out, okay, so, you know, it's not just about me, right? It's about the family. It's about our members. It's about my business. It's about my clients. It's about so much. But taking a minute and writing down like 3 things. Like, I think I said, like, I was going to exercise. I was going to walk away from my computer every couple of hours, because what I found in those first weeks is I wasn't breathing. And I was holding my breath, and then I had, like, my face was tense. And when I would get out and I would walk, and I would realize that I was holding my face so tight that I needed to breathe. And so sometimes it's the simplest little steps that you can do to help yourself move forward. And so I think that, you know, I cried for sure. Like, you talk about the Peloton, thank goodness I have the Peloton. There were days that I would be riding and I would just be crying. And I was grateful that I had that outlet. But writing a little plan, it doesn't have to be big. You know, like I said, like, I had to do my ethics class the other day. So I'm like, okay, this week I'm going to take my ethics training. And, I'm gonna take a shower today, and I'm gonna, whatever it is, it's the littlest things. So start simple, give yourself some grace, and just keep on with your plans. We're all planners. We all like to know exactly what's going on. Life is a little bit out of control, but you can write down the things you can't control.
I think that's excellent advice. I know Sarah and I have both been in days where you don't even get up from your computer to have lunch, and you're working so much more than you were when you were in the office, and you could kind of chat with people and you'd have a meeting. There was a lot of variety, and this has really just been the screen and Zoom. And so just saying, I'm doing this, and I am going to take 45 minutes and go have lunch and sit down like a normal human being, and not just, but it really takes an effort, because this is a whole new way of working. It's a whole new way of being.
It is, but structuring your day to keep it normal is important for our own mental states and well-being.
I do want to share a couple more comments because they're beautiful. Irene Reinsdorf, love you. Outstanding leadership. Love Irene. In our time of vulnerability, Kama said, virtual hugs to you all. I stand with you. It shows how we are all human and vulnerable. Cindy, so sweet. Nothing wrong with our eyes leaking. We're all feeling it too. Jennifer has been from Vilma. Thank you, Vilma. Hi, Heather. Heather Raphael is listening too. Vilma says, Jennifer has been an inspiration to many of us. CAR leadership has been amazing, helping us through the midst of these challenging times. For support, or your support and information have been awesome. Thank you, staff and leadership. Now I'm going to start crying again. Thanks a lot, ladies.
Well, and I'm so grateful for Jeannie and Dave. It truly am so grateful for a great leadership team. We all bring amazing strengths to one another and help support each other. And I think it's been a great blessing to have them on each side of, or ahead of me, but I feel like a few shoulders.
Well, it's like little, Brady Bunch tiles, right? Well, I think, do you have any parting words of wisdom to share with the WomanUP community? And Jen will be at WomanUP, our virtual event, on September 1, 2, 3 this year, obviously. But any parting words?
I'm just grateful for this amazing community, and you guys are all women. Sorry, I'm still working, self-correcting. Women and men are truly a blessing in our lives, and just, take your baby steps, and each day we're, getting a little bit further along, and I wish you all well. So thank you so much for having me today. And
thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks, all of you. We'll see you next
week. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and remember our veterans on Memorial Day, and just really wonderful to see everyone.
Stay safe out there.
Yep.
Bye.